Yep, come on, yep.
The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happened.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendon Moore, he said he could make it.
Don't think this whole...
Phil, credit to the guy, always managed to do well. Yeah. But he is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pretty bit.
I like from Rashad Mendon Moore.
Hello and welcome to the LOC Report. We are nearly there. It's Corona Bowl XII this weekend, but before we get to all that, we've obviously got to look at the first round of the playoffs, and Chris is back as always. How's it going, Chris?
Absolutely brilliant. I have to say, this is the most exciting time of the year for many reasons, but this is but this is one of them. This adds to the drama of the week. So. Or it would do if everyone wasn't quite as locked down as they are. But this is perhaps the shining light through the darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had that nail-biting finish in week 14, and week 15 maybe didn't have the same drama, but it was certainly enticing for a variety of different reasons. So we'll delve into all of that in the show, obviously. But first, we will start with a little league news. Oh, no, that's not the news jingle. That is the news jingle. So, no transactions to speak of at the moment. It is Tuesday, but given, given the final two teams, there shouldn't be too many. That may not hold true, but we can do our best to review it all the same. We know perhaps one of the members has a penchant for finding some stragglers, so no news on the transactions front. We are going to do the award reveal in next week's show, so today's show will be fairly short, and we'll have a bit more of a bump episode next week. We're not going to look at the third place playoff, the Kumar Bowl today either, but we will recap that one next week. In terms of other news, obviously, as we said last week, Phil is retiring, so that leaves a spot we will try and fill for next season. So any suggestions there? I've reached out to Nige, who expressed an interest in retiring at one point, so we'll see what happens there. But of course, we'll fill in with someone. Other than that, no news. So we'll just go straight into the recaps then, and let's start with the one that looked to be a bit one-sided at the start. That's week 14, excuse me. Let's start with Coach Nunn against You Are Gold. In the first round of the playoffs, Always Sunny in Philadelphia Eagles took on You Are Gold for the rights to appear in their first ever Corona Bowl. You Are Gold, obviously a complete newbie to the playoffs, and entering this one, Ross had also never won a playoff game, but that is no longer the case, as Coach Nunn will be the first coach, will make his first appearance in the Corona Bowl and be the first coach who has unretired to do so, as he took this one 111 to 83. As you can see on the chart there, Ross's team jumped out to a big lead after the Saturday night games and never looked back en route to that near 20-point margin. Aaron Rodgers, he got 20 points. Aaron Jones got 22. Mike Evans got 11. Stephon Diggs got 15. Kamara got 15. And Tyler Bass got 12 en route to that good day. For You Are Gold, they had one player play on Saturday and they didn't do well. It was always going to be an uphill battle, but they gave it a shot and got to 83. Kyler Murray doing most of the heavy lifting there with 39. Nick Chubb pitching in with 13. And Robbie Gould, of course, chipping in with 10 as well. But obviously not enough, so You Are Gold is one and done in their first playoff appearance. And the history between these two is now 4-3 in favour of Ross's team. And Ross's team is having a strong end to the season, you could say, with what they've done the last few weeks.
Well, I think they've had a strong season generally. You look at that team, and there hasn't been that many weeks they've been down. I mean, when they've been down, they've been really down. But actually, this is the type of performance you want to see at this point of the year, because you aren't just hinged on one player or maybe two or even three players. And that's what you've seen in some teams over the years, where you've seen a quarterback and potentially 2 running backs that have dominated. Well, here there is a breadth of points across the team, and that's exactly what you want. Yes, it might be a little bit Packers heavy, and it might be a little bit Saints heavy, but look, if those teams are on form and they're playing well, and I think that the likes of Jones and Kamara are pretty matchup proof at the moment, then they're going to have success, and yeah, that's it. Well, obviously with Rodgers as well, that, and more importantly, he scored 111, 112 points without Rodgers really firing all cylinders. So yeah, it's certainly an impressive victory, and it's certainly one that is going to take a lot of confidence into the final. Bearing in mind the quality of player on that team. You are gold. I think we said last week that it would be require a very, very good performance from Kyler Murray to win the game. Obviously that happened, but the supporting cast didn't really turn up in the same sort of way as we saw the week previous, perhaps. So yeah, it got there. It's coming second in the league in the regular season is no mean feat. But yeah, that's it. I just unfortunately fell at the last hurdle with his players not really showing what they were capable of on the day. But it's no disgrace to lose to a team like Ross's, because it is very good. And it's certainly well proportioned and well set up at this point to go on and get a decent result in the final, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Ross with a good day and moving forward, and yeah, your gold still can play for third place, which would represent, win or lose, their best finish so far in the LOC as well. So we'll go on to the other game we had then, which was so that was the 2v3 seed. First v4 seed was Forge Flyers against Predators. Regular season champion Forge Flyers took on Predators, who snuck in the wild card on the league's last day in the first round of the playoffs. Here on this side, obviously two former champions, just in the last 4 or 5 years. These two have 3 Corona Bowls between them, and since Corona Bowl 5 have 4 between them. So a storied game, 2 founding teams. Only one could come out on top. Would it be the all-beating all-season Forge Flyers or the resurgent Predators? It was the resurgent Predators on the day, 127 to 109. Starting on Predators' side, it was a week of change in the preview, but my goodness, you got to say they did nail it. Jalen Hurts, another one of these legendary playoff streams, 44 points. Tony Pollard, a late pickup just after the inactives were announced, 25 points. James Robinson, 11 points. Calvin Ridley, 22, en route to that good scoring day. On the other side, Forge Flyers definitely put up a good fight, and obviously would have gone through had they been placing UR Gold, and would have narrowly lost to Ross's team. Lamar Jackson got 35, Derrick Henry 23, Benny Snell 17 with the late Monday night comeback, but it wasn't enough. So the Detonators move on. Forge Flyers, unfortunately, failing their quest to repeat, in the history of this matchup all time now, is 9-7 in favour of the Detonators. If I said to you in week 10, Chris, that in week 15, Jalen Hurts and Tony Pollard would be the antidote to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, you would have called me a mentalist.
Absolutely, that's it, and it did the trick. We said that on Sunday that if we had a chance of winning this game, you have to make some very bold moves. We said that Jalen Hurts was bold. It really paid off in this game. I mean, without him, without Tony Pollard, that would have been a loss, I think, because if I just have rudimentary mass, if you'd have played Deshaun and you'd have played Jeff Wilson as expected, that is 15 minus, so that is 27 points, a little different, so we're down to 100 and it's a win for me. So that's the difference here. Calvin Ridley's had a great day, Robinson's had a solid day, everyone else has pretty much had a pretty average day, to be honest, but that's it. Absolutely blew me away, and to score 128 points near enough at this point of the year, again, excellent. I'm not sure it's sustainable scoring that amount of points, and I'm not sure it's the same with Ross's team. It's not going to be able to go every single week like that, but this is knockout tournament play now, and this is exactly what was required in this given week, and it worked. For me, I can't really argue 110 points. It's my highest score for a long time. But yeah, just wasn't quite enough to beat out those very high scoring numbers. And once again, the old LOC report rule: if you score more than 40 points in any given game with one player, you should win it.
Yes.
And that has happened on this occasion. So yeah, that's it. Great for Ollie. Fantastic win, goes to the final. I love to see him replicate it in the final. I have to say, this is like a real meshing of styles. Ross's auto draft, keep the same team versus Ollie. I'm going to completely change it, get everyone off the waivers and win. So I'm really looking forward to the final. To see what the difference would be. But yeah, I mean, the stream of Hurts and Pollard, particularly Pollard, to pick him up, and it's completely opportunist. It's a deserved win in that sense.
Yeah, and we see this pretty much every year. It feels like in the playoffs, one way or another. There's usually some ad that can make the difference, and as you said, it was effectively 2 in this one that made the difference. And it's the difference between winning championships and not. Sometimes, I mean, like you say, you've either got to have a really settled, good roster like Ross's team has, obviously, which has been necessary for his style for him to get to that point, or you need to be really crafty like you have done last year with Brashard Perryman, or Ollie has done this year, or in other cases. So yeah, for sure. But you've got a regular season title, a good season, all things considered, the best record, joint on points. So by no means a bad season for you.
I'm absolutely thrilled because that team that I have had there is by no means vintage, and I've been saying that for 4 or 5 weeks. That team is far from vintage, and it relies on Jackson and Henry to be able to get the points done. Yeah, and yeah, that's it. So to get to the playoffs and potentially have a shot for third is certainly more than I thought I would get out of this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. If we take a look at, obviously not really any milestones standing or stats for you, but we have obviously some playoff wins and losses that go on the sheet now. And so starting with Ollie, he is a ridiculous 6-1 in the playoffs all time. That is the best record out of anyone by quite a wide margin. Certainly with as many. Well, I say that right behind is Tom at 5-2, but. It really does start to drop off after that. I'm trying to think of the only year he made the playoffs and didn't win it. I can't remember what year that would have been, but I think it may have, I'm not sure what it would have been, but obviously he's had a great record. Yeah. And then we look at you, Chris. Your playoff record is pretty solid still at a 4-2. Ollie Gardner obviously picking up his first playoff appearance, but it was a loss, and Ross picking up his first playoff appearance as well. We're going to add an award this year, as it was a good idea by you, Chris. It's going to be called the Shat-On Award. Sort of the opposite, obviously, of the Luck Award, where things conspire in your favour. This is when things conspire against you. You did the nominees for the initial round, and I'll just read it off. So we have Ben, for obviously the first round pick being largely unavailable for the whole season, and the rest of the team is cursed and smited. Pat, as you said, shorter injury lists of Wargraves. Pretty similar story from my team. Viv, the whole team was on strike basically, apart from Russell Wilson until week 8, and then he thought, sod this, I'm joining them. My dad, obviously, absolute points magnet, worked against him, and in a similar vein, Mike, obviously, as he pointed out, hilariously up for the Luck Award as well, conceding the lowest amount of points, but did run into a buzzsaw in week 14, which is the only thing stopping him making playoffs in bare necessities. Had he been playing anyone else, he obviously would have made it. So that's the nominees for that one. We will go and preview the Corona Bowl 12 now. Benedetto's face Coach Nunn's side in Corona Bowl 12. It's a battle of the founding teams, old versus new, or slightly less old, and an unretiring Coach Nunn's side looking for their first victory, while Benedetto's looking for what would be a league record third Corona Bowl. As Chris already said, it's meshing of styles, the ultra waiver reliant Benedetto's versus the ultra established always sunny in Philadelphia Eagles. The projections do currently point to a new winner, however, currently standing at 97 to 84, but obviously, as we know, Benedetto's is likely to have some changes. Looking down the lineup for Ross's team, have they changed? Of course they haven't. It's the same as it has been largely most of the season. Stephon Diggs did pick up an injury in the game on Saturday. He is questionable at the moment, so that is definitely one to keep an eye on. As we know, the depth is not necessarily as strong. But if we flip to the other side on the bench, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did suffer a hip injury, which could mean Le'Veon Bell gets his first meaningful start for Ross's team in a cruel twist of fate. Looking elsewhere on Ollie's team, the injury list is definitely far longer. Jeff Wilson questionable, he should play. Eric Ebron questionable, looking iffy. He took apparently a really nasty hit last night. Julio Jones obviously questionable as well. There was talks of him being shut down for the season, and James Robinson also suffered an injury against the Ravens on the weekend. So a lot of flux for them, and I believe as currently they are not changed either. So it's going to take an element of waiver wire guessing. Maybe Ronald Jones comes back. He's on the COVID list at the moment as well. So certainly more established for Ross. If we look at the history between these two all time, Detonators are 4-6 against Ross all time. Chris, what do you make of Corona Bowl 12?
Well. Look, I think that at this point, you know what you're going to get from Ross's team. You know you're going to get 90 points at least from some of those guys, and they're going to be, guys with big upside. Now, you look at who they're up against. I think that the Packers and the Saints we talked about earlier on are obviously the spine of this team. Packers play Tennessee. I like the matchup for them. Tennessee haven't been unbelievably good on defense, but they have been reasonably good against the run. But I think that Aaron Rodgers should have a good day there in what is a primetime matchup. He likes to play Murray and Kamara in the same team. Has done so all year. I think against the Vikings, especially at home, it gives you a massive advantage. I didn't mention that the Packers are at home as well, which obviously this time of the year is a massive advantage for them. Evans plays Detroit. I like it. If Diggs sits, it's probably not the worst thing to do. He's playing New England in New England. Josh Allen's on fire at the moment, but there's one place you're going to get unstuck potentially. It's there, especially as they're going to feel reasonably hurt by now being out of it for the first time in God knows how long. If he's out, then you might bring Lev Bell in, but then you have to sit one of the running backs that he already has. So you probably sit Murray in that case. With Bell versus Atlanta, which is a decent matchup, I would say, and then maybe bring someone like MVS in for a bit of upside, bearing in mind that Rodgers is your QB. Or go to the waiver wire, and if you go to the waiver wire, this is why I'm segueing into this, because Ollie's going to have to go to the waiver wire. You might want to dovetail Jamal Williams in there, because the Packers like to do that. I know he's questionable, but he should play as well, and he's come out with some decent points at times this year. You might want to play a guy like Mike Gesicki, who's been a bit of a touchdown monster when he's played. You might want to play someone like Aguilar. I know that or Logan Thomas even. So he's certainly come out as a decent receiving option for the football team. So I don't know. There's plenty of options there. They're maybe not obvious options that you would necessarily be comfortable with starting. And I think that's the thing here. Is that hello? That's it. You're on. That's it. Have a wave. That's it.
Lux's first appearance on the LOC Report, right?
Indeed, that's it. She's here. There she is. She's in. She's gone. But yeah, that's it. You would think that the core of Ollie's team will remain similar to what it was before, but won't have potentially the shot in the arm that Pollard gave him because Zeke may be back. It may not give him the shot in the arm from Jalen Hurts because 43 points is pretty unreplicable every week. If Robinson isn't fit to play, that's a big problem. And you, as you say, you look at the bench and you think, well, are you really going to bring? Is Jeff Wilson going to do it? Maybe, but look at that. Julio's not going to be back. Ronald Jones would be a massive, unquestionably huge addition to that team playing Detroit. But is it going to happen? Is he going to be off the COVID list by the weekend? No one really knows. So there's a lot of this team's in a state of flux, and I cannot back a team that you don't know what it's going to be week in, week out. While you do know what Ross's team's going to be, you do know that it's got a high chance of going over 100, and you do know that even without Stephon Diggs and with maybe one guy from the waivers in, it's still going to be a strong team. So I think the projections are right, and I think that you can't really look past this team because they've been so consistent all year. And as we've seen throughout the time that we've had running this league, is that it is the consistent teams that generally do well. There's been a couple of years that I can think of where there have been some plucky, Ollie's team from a couple of years ago where they just came out of nowhere with all the rookies. They came out of nowhere and won by a sliver in 2019 for Tom, 2018 for Tom, but against Tom. But I cannot see it just now. And even if everyone remains fit on that team, the matchups just simply aren't there. So, I'm with you. I'm all in. And I didn't think I'd hear myself saying this, but I think Ross's team's going to do the lot. I really do. And I think it's going to get over the line. And the team probably deserves to do that. But how I feel about...
webcam overheating.
There it is. How I feel about an auto-drafted team winning this league is very conflicting. Because, I want to see good coaching and whatever, and and commitment to the draft rewarded at the end of the year. And this proves that perhaps that isn't the case. But you can say something for sure, is that when you know you've got a surefire thing and a good thing, it's probably best to stick with it. And I completely get why Ross has done what he's done. But that's it. Do I want to see Ollie win? Bearing in mind that if he does so, it's going to be based on pure intuition and coaching alone, then absolutely.
There's no doubt if Ollie wins this, it would be a very deserved win for whatever he pulls out of the bag.
Absolutely. So I can't see it right now. But then again, I couldn't see he won against me at the weekend. Yeah,
absolutely.
And crazy things can happen. Things can be shut down. Injuries can happen. We saw that with Ben's team last year. The run up to it, he was definitely the favourite, and then two guys go down just like that, and that's the end of his year. I don't think it's going to happen again this year, but if something were to happen on the day or between the days, or if there was a COVID breakout, then Ross has really got nowhere to turn.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the big wild card here. It would be very typical for it to strike this week of all weeks. And like you say, Ollie's already done a terrific job of staving off what happened to Ben last year in his game against you, and now he's arguably got an even taller task to avoid it again. It's tricky. There is one thing on Ross's side that I will think his approach this time around could work against him, because look, you say the Packers and the Saints guys there unquestionably going to have good games. I think you've got to say with the matchups they have, no doubt. But Stephon Diggs is playing on Monday Night Football. If Ross stays true to how he's done his roster all this year, he's either got to have a backup plan in place, or he's rolling with the dice with the Stephon Diggs who may or may not play. It may well still be over despite that, depending how the Ross's guys do and what Ollie can or can't pull out of the bag. But that is definitely one thing to spotlight. And as you said, for Ollie's side, you look down that roster right now, like you say, Pollard, I would imagine Zeke is going to be back. He was expected to be back last week. Robinson, very iffy. Even if he plays, it's against a pretty good run D. I think Cooks and Ridley are two guys you can rely on, and Hurts should be in store for a decent day. But again, Gus Edwards, are you really going to... maybe you can try him out. I don't know. He's going to change defense right now. I can tell you that. He doesn't have another one on the roster right now, but he almost certainly will go somewhere else there. Yeah, you've got to say it's going to take some sort of effort to overcome that, and it would be poetic irony if Diggs missing the game and Ross having to play him would be the thing that lost him the title after all of this. But
that would be crazy. And I'm just looking through here, as to what he could do in that instance, and I can't see many players that will be in that game that are receivers anyway, because he wouldn't in the scenario that we're talking about here. He couldn't play on the running back in that thing, so you have to someone like Demir Bird who is there, but doesn't do a great deal. I think
Dawson Knox would be another guy potentially. Those tight end,
absolutely. If you're going for the tight ends, but I don't know. That's it. You wouldn't feel particularly good about that. James White, he said he's a running back as well. So I don't know. It would be an extremely difficult situation to find something. But I do think that if you could replace, if Diggs doesn't play, then obviously someone's going to replace him in that system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And who they got? John Brown and Gabriel Davis, I assume.
I think Brown might be out for those. He was injured at one point. I'm not sure if he's back yet. I think Cole Beasley is owned, so Gabriel Davis would be.
Yeah. So it could be a wild start somewhere.
Yeah. So I think we're both going with Ross's team despite all of that. Obviously, it's very difficult to project Bedednez right now, but knowing what they have there and what they might have available not only on the roster but otherwise, it doesn't profile as too positive, shall we say. So I think we're both leaning on Ross's team, but we will of course see how it all unfolds, and we'll be back this time, around this time next week, to recap it all, and obviously we'll reveal the award winners as well with that in our show of the year. So nothing left to say other than thank you for joining again, Chris.
That's it. Welcome. It's going to be an exciting week. Yeah, it really is. So I'm looking forward to very different styles. I think that's what this is all about. That's why we're here. Exactly.
Good luck to not only the Corona Bowl participants, but in all the consolation bowls as well, or if you're just playing for fun. And obviously as well, have a great Christmas. It's been a long, tough old year for most of us, I'm sure. So do enjoy that whatever time of you have. That's all it's got to say. Thanks for watching, listeners, and we'll be back with you next week.